Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are diving straight into the fascinating chapters of early childhood growth, breaking down the absolutely crucial stages of human development and uncovering the science behind caring for young minds.
So let's just kick things off with a fundamental question, right? What does a young child actually need to thrive? You might think, well, keep them safe, keep them fed, but honestly, their cognitive and emotional needs are way, way more complex than that.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, the magic of early childhood. Then, core concepts of ECCE. Third, how children actually learn. And finally, building an ECCE career. Let's get right into it.
All right, Section 1, the magic of early childhood. We're talking about that crucial window from birth to 8 years old. Now, during that very first year, infants are making a massive cognitive leap. I mean, if you've ever wondered why a perfectly happy baby suddenly bursts into tears at a stranger's face, well, it's not just a random meltdown. It's actually a huge milestone. Around 8 to 12 months, their brains have successfully mapped out the familiar faces in their lives. They're making that amazing transition from intense total dependence to active exploration.
And because their brains are developing at warp speed, satisfying that massive curiosity absolutely requires a deeply secure environment. I mean, their minds just aren't built for a rigid desk yet, right? Instead, to fuel this explosion in vocabulary and physical growth, they need loving interactions, caring adults, and a really rich variety of everyday materials just to play with.
Moving right along to Section 2, Core Concepts of ECC, where we'll define some of the key terminology. So in the world of developmental science, the word infancy isn't just a casual age bracket. It's a highly specific window from birth to 1, maybe 2 years old. This is a period of intense dependence where the absolute vital foundation of trust with primary caregivers is being built. Okay, I've always found this one super fascinating. The actual academic term toddler literally comes from the jumpy, kind of unsteady walk kids develop between 2 and 3 years old. They are literally toddling around as they find their footing, and man, their independence just skyrockets during this phase.
Now, what about the term creche? Here we're talking about a specific institutional setting meant specifically for infants. Historically, extended families would provide this care, but in our modern working world, a creche acts as a vital formal substitute to give those infants that focused, specialized attention while parents are at work.
And then daycare expands on that concept to include older preschoolers. But here is the real key difference. It absolutely requires trained professionals. Because these kids are suddenly navigating way more complex emotions and social interactions, daycare isn't just babysitting or supervision. It is a highly active educational program guided by experts. Which brings us to Section 3, how children actually learn, focusing on play and real-world experience.
So to really optimize this critical growth period, educators rely on rigorous blueprints, like the National Curriculum Framework. This framework outlines 3 core goals: holistic development of the child, getting them prepared for school, and, this is a big one, providing support services for women and children so the broader family unit can thrive.
And just look at this dynamic in action. These kids are carefully exploring the textures and objects right there on the ground. They aren't just passively soaking up information. They are actively constructing their own reality through hands-on experience. Honestly, at this age, that is literally the most powerful educational tool we have.
The NCF's guiding principles actually remind us to blend textual sources with familiar local culture. Why does this matter for you? Because early education should never feel alien or intimidating to a child. By mixing formal interactions with everyday arts and local materials, we create an environment that feels totally safe, but with just the right amount of challenge.
Whether they're digging in sand, splashing water, or pulling apart flowers, kids are basically just little scientists, right? They're constantly asking, why is this so? And that curiosity is exactly how their vocabulary and comprehension just explode. To a preschooler, a garden isn't just a place to run around, it's a grand laboratory for experiential learning. This connects perfectly to the famous developmental psychologist Jean Piaget. He dedicated his life to a simple but incredibly profound truth. Young kids process reality entirely differently than we do. We literally cannot expect a 4-year-old to reason like an adult. They need to physically touch and experience a phenomenon to actually understand it. And then the brilliant educator Lev Vygotsky added another layer to this.
He explained that kids have a great need for a concerned, caring, and knowledgeable adult. Learning thrives in this very specific sweet spot. If a task is too easy, they get bored. Too hard, and they panic. So a skilled educator steps in, acting as a literal bridge, providing just enough support to help that child cross over to the next level of understanding. All right, our final stretch, Section 4, Building an SECE Career. Let's talk about becoming a professional. Now, while parents obviously rely heavily on instinct, deep love, and maybe a little caffeine, ECC professionals absolutely require rigorous scientific knowledge. Moving way beyond just basic instinct, they have to use evidence-based practices to manage group dynamics and guarantee that every single child in that classroom is progressing optimally.
So, if you're actually considering a career in early childhood care, these are the essential skills you've got to cultivate. You're going to need an endless well of enthusiasm, the creativity to turn a simple nature walk into an immersive lesson, and above all else, the deep capacity to respect that every child is going to grow at their own unique pace.
Ultimately, honest self-reflection might just be the most surprising part of this entire career path. Working with young kids will constantly, and I mean literally constantly, challenge your own perspectives, your patience, and your basic understanding of human nature. So I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder as we wrap up today's explainer. Are you ready to learn a whole lot more about yourself by trying to understand the children around you? Think about it. Thanks for joining me today, and keep questioning the world around you.